Hello neighbor, this is Curt with eTrailer, and today we're going to take a look at the Thule WingBar Edge roof rack on our 2024 Hyundai Tucson. Now if you've had any experience with this roof rack system from Thule, or if you have any questions about it, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. We'd love to take your stories and your questions and use those to help our other neighbors make the best decision for themselves. Now, when you're planning your next adventure in your Tucson, you might find yourself in a situation where you've got cargo that either won't fit in the vehicle or you just simply don't want to ride with it in the vehicle. And that's where a roof rack system can come in really handy. It'll allow you to store all those extra baggage up here on your roof rather than adding an extra footprint behind the vehicle like with a hitch cargo carrier. This particular one, the Thule WingBar Edge, is going to give you a 165-pound weight capacity. Now, it's always a good idea to double check the weight capacity of the roof of your vehicle in the manual, and you will have to go with whatever number is lower. This is also an aero bar style, meaning the bars have an ovular shape, and with that shape, it's really going to cut down on the wind resistance. That's going to save you some fuel economy and a lot of extra noise going down the road. It's also a flush bar system, meaning it has no overhang. I think this really does add to the look of the crossbar system. It has a more factory look, and you don't really have to be worried about anything getting in and out of the vehicle as far as head clearance up here, not banging your head on anything. Now, there's two different ways that you can mount rooftop accessories to your WingBar Edge, and that is with clamp-mounted accessories that are going to really wrap around the whole bar and clamp down, or by using this T-track here. Now this is a split rubber track that's going to allow you to access your T-slot to use any T-slot mounted accessories. It's accessible through the side, through the tower, and it is kind of a split as far as that track goes up here. And that's really good because there are roof rack systems that makes you trim this rubber strip in order to get accessories up here. That leaves gaps in your weather stripping, which is just going to create an awful lot of noise for you going down the road. So I'm really happy with how this track system works. Now we've got our bars set up at a very particular point on the vehicle, and I did it on purpose for easy access. Because there are no fixed mounting points up here on your rails, we're really kind of free to put these really almost anywhere we please. As long as we've got a crossbar spread that's good enough to hold whatever accessory we've got up there. Now the way that we set these on very specifically was we tried to line the center of the front tower up with the door seam between the first and second row, and the back bar with the door seam at the end of the second row. What that allows for is someone like me to just stand up in the doorway and be right between both bars. This is going to be giving me really good access to whatever I put up here. I wouldn't have as easy of an access if I had both of these moved forward quite a bit or back. We do have the opportunity to spread them out further if we want to, but right now we've got them set up at a spread of 28.5 inches, almost 29 inches. That's really good. It's generally between 26 and 30 inches that most accessories can accommodate. We're also going to take a look at what kind of clearance this is going to give to us. Now, it is going to add a little bit of a roof height. Not that this is too tall of a vehicle, but just to be aware, it gives you about 3.75 inches of height to the vehicle. And you're also going to get a roof clearance of 2.5 inches underneath the bar. So that's something to keep in mind if you have a sunroof or if you want to place your bars further back and you get closer to this antenna back here. Now, I had mentioned earlier that this is a flush crossbar system, meaning it doesn't have overhanging crossbars. And while it does make for a much cleaner, bit more factory of a look, there are some limitations to it. Without the overhang, we've really got more limited bar space than we would otherwise. And also because these rails taper from the back of the vehicle to the front kind of outwardly like this, we've got just under 32 inches of usable bar space here in the back, while we have almost 34 inches of usable bar space here in the front. So that is something to keep in mind when you're checking out different rooftop accessories if you want to make sure that you've got enough room up there for it. And you'll also be kind of forced to mount things closer to the center of the vehicle. Now, that isn't as much of a concern for me on the Tucson as it would be for some other vehicles. The Tucson's not all that tall, but if this was a much taller vehicle, I might be recommending something with an overhang just to give yourself some easier access. But after taking a look at all the features and just basically how it looks up here, Why don't we go ahead and take a look at exactly how we got these installed. Now, installation on this rack is fairly simple, and we're going to begin by assembling our towers. We have to put the base clips on there first so that they can grab onto our factory rails. And luckily, Thule labels the foot pack A, B, and C, and lets you gives you a really good idea of what order these should go on in. Now, we'll take our foot here with the cover off. We're going to take A, we're going to slip it right over just like that. Then part B is the foot pad. Now, this is a rubber pad. It's going to help bear some of that weight up there on the roof and make sure it doesn't do any damage to your factory rails. It's also going to hold clip A into place for us as we go through the rest of our assembly. Clip C then is going to go over this little tab on A and run the bolt through right there. And then we're going to take this piece. Now, one end of this piece is threaded. The other end works with a hex key. We're going to go hex key end out. The threaded end we're going to put right on our bolt here. And we're just going to hand tighten it for now. Tightening this particular part is what holds the crossbar in place. It's also what's going to clamp our foot pack onto our rails. Now that we have that assembled, we're going to go ahead and attach this to our crossbar. And in order to do that, we're simply going to guide it into the hollow end here of your crossbar. And what we'll come up against is this square tab right here. Now, what we're going to have to do is depress that tab and work it back until it slides into place in this opening here. So we'll just have to push that down. Take some work sometimes to work that over. And there we have it into place. Now we could still move our crossbar to adjust how far apart our legs need to be. Now that we've got both towers on our crossbar, we are going to go ahead and add our weather stripping. And to do that, first we're going to need to split it. So it's pre-cut, it'll split right down the middle for you. Now, you may notice that one side of this has these arrows on it. The arrows are going to be pointing toward the front of the crossbar, which is the wider end, not the blade end. And all you're really going to do is simply depress this down into its track. Then we're going to take the planer piece here, and that's going to go on the opposite side. We're going to just depress that into its track. So now we've got our custom feet, our towers, and our crossbar all assembled together. The last thing I want to do before getting it on the roof is I want to adjust these towers so that they're all the way out. I just find that this is personally a little easier for me when I put it up there just to get it lined up the way I'd like it. So now that we've got it all together, let's get it on our roof and see how she looks. So now we've got the feet up on our rails. Both of the clamps are going around and underneath this lip around the top of the rail, so I know it's going to be secure on there when I tighten this down. But the first thing I want to do is make sure that my crossbar is even. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a measurement from the end of the bar to the end of the tower where it slides onto, and just make sure that that measurement matches up on both sides. If it does, I know that my crossbar is even going across. Now that our crossbar is evened out, the last thing I want to do before I tighten everything down is make sure that my crossbars are perpendicular to my rails. So the best way to do that is, because I know that this bar that we installed is even, I know that this bar is going to be even because I am going to measure from the center of this tower to the center of this tower. I'm going to match it up on the other side, and then I know I've got these perpendicular to the rails, and I'll be safe to carry. So everything is secured down. We've got an even crossbar spread in both sides. So the last thing that we need to do is get these tightened down. We're going to tighten down our bar to our towers and our clamps to our rail all through this same bolt right here. So we're going to take our provided tool by Thule, and we're going to go ahead and tighten this down. Now this is a torquing tool. So when you have it torqued down to specification, we're going to hear a loud pop, just like that. That means that everything is tightened down just the way it's supposed to be, and we can go ahead and add the cover to our towers. Now, before I do this, these are going to latch and lock onto our towers right through here, which we can do with a flathead screwdriver. However, Thule has what they call their one key system, in which you can get lock cords and keys to match for all 4 of your towers, all being keyed alike. You could also get them keyed alike to any Thule accessories that you may have. That way it'll just keep you a lot more organized. You won't have 4 or 5 different keys for all your different Thule items. It'll be very nice for you to have that available. So, but for now we're going to go ahead and just put it on here as such. We're going to take our flathead and we're just going to lock the cap onto the tower here. Okay. Now we've got it all up here tight and secure. The bars aren't going anywhere. Everything feels very solid. I'm very happy with the placement. We specifically placed them right here for easy access between the door, and they look really nice. So there's a look at the Thule WingBar Edge roof rack system on our 2024 Hyundai Tucson. I'm Curt with eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.